My girlfriend is giving me the cold shoulder because my professor gave me a formal goodbye hug even though I didn't want one, and my girlfriend thinks it should be considered cheating because I didn't have a problem with it. So, recently, one of my professors, probably in her late 20s or early 30s, was leaving our college. I, 18M, had studied under her for 6 months and had developed immense respect for her. She introduced me to philosophy, for which I'll always be indebted to her, and we often held Marxism discussions in class. She also helped me improve my speaking skills during Vivas. Overall, she was one of the best teachers I've ever had. And she also claimed that I am one of her favorite students. At her farewell, which was attended by around 50 of my batchmates, both guys and girls, she was taking pictures with everyone. I didn't go for an individual photo because, honestly, I respect her too much for that. After the pictures, she asked me, "Adam, fake name, let's go get some food for your batchmates." I agreed, and we hopped in her car. On the way, she started asking about my parents and my future plans. I answered respectfully, sitting quietly in the shotgun seat with my hands on my knees. She also mentioned that she was leaving college because she was getting married, which she had actually announced earlier, but I hadn't been paying attention. She told me about her fiancé while we were on the way. When we got to the shop, we bought some food, and she casually offered me a dokla. We ate one together while she continued talking about her fiancé, and to be honest, I was getting really bored. But anyway, we got the food, headed back, and served it to our batchmates. Then came the emotional part. She started crying because one of my batchmates gave her a beautifully designed, handwritten letter with a coffee-stained effect and burned edges. As she got emotional, she began hugging all the girls one by one. Now, here's the thing, I stepped back because that's just not something I was raised with or ever exposed to. I didn't acknowledge this tradition of hugging professors, especially since my way of showing respect is different. So, I waited until the emotional moment passed, then walked up, touched her feet, and said, "Thank you, ma'am." She appreciated it, and I thanked her again. She then went back to hugging some girl, and I turned around to leave. I had barely taken 2 steps when she suddenly called my name. Before I could fully turn, she stepped forward and gave me one of those formal hugs. Reflexively, I took 2 steps back, breaking it. I don't know if she noticed, but she just said, "Thank you for organizing this and bye." And that was it. But after that, I felt weird. Almost disgusted, even. Like, I was supposed to touch her feet, that's what felt right. This wasn't. And it hit me later that the only reason I felt this way was because I had never been introduced to such a notion before. And frankly, I never will be. Also, I wasn't even the first guy she hugged that night. Later that night, I told my long-distance girlfriend, 19F, we've been together for almost a year, about what happened. I explained how the whole thing felt wrong to me. And just to be clear, I am not conservative. I just never knew about this, okay? I'm sorry. Anyway, after I told her, she suddenly cut the call, giving some BS excuse, and then refused to sleep on call with me, which is rare. The next morning, she ignored me completely. Ghosted me the entire day. When I kept asking what was wrong, literally begging her to tell me, she still wouldn't say. And after pushing for hours, I finally realized this all started after last night's conversation. She was being cold, rude, and repeatedly saying, "You are annoying me." That was her only reason. Then she started blocking me, switching off her phone, and just avoiding me. I didn't understand, so I just resorted to doing sit-ups and writing her a long paragraph about how much I love her. When she finally responded, she just said, "I love you," for a second before going back to "Your voice annoys me." Then, just 15 minutes ago, after even more begging and near crying, she finally admitted, "It's amusing how you didn't find a problem with that." I was confused. I told her I did have a problem with it. That it disgusted me, that it pained me, and that I even told her last night in detail how I felt. But she just said, "No, you didn't." I insisted that I did, but she just cut the call again. She had to go celebrate her roommate's birthday or something, but she said she'd be back soon. Right before leaving, she used the word cheating to describe what happened. And now I'm just shook. I feel so wrong. She even started bringing up past instances of my so-called cheating. Like, for example, once, I sent 10 voice notes to a girl I considered my sister, not biologically, but we had a sibling bond. She even called me Baya, Hindi for brother. She was really depressed after getting bad 12th grade results and not getting into any colleges, so I was just trying to be there for her. But my girlfriend told me this was wrong. That I couldn't have these so-called sisters. She said, men's intentions are always bad, which, to be fair, she says because every guy who's been her brother eventually ended up confessing to her. She insisted that this wasn't right and that it made her uncomfortable. It took me 2 to 3 days of crying and begging for her to forgive me. I promised never to do it again. I even blocked that girl completely. She tried reaching out on different platforms, asking what happened, but I never replied. And just to clarify, this was someone I actually considered family. I had even introduced her to my girlfriend at the start of our relationship. She even sent me a Rocky, a bracelet or string that a sister ties on her brother's wrist. But what gets me is that my girlfriend still has a so-called brother. He sends her reels and stuff. And when I pointed it out, she just said, "He doesn't send me 10 voice notes or anything. He's not as close to me as you were to her." So yeah. That's where I am right now. Just sitting here. And yes, I know myself, I'll probably go and beg her some more, apologizing for something I don't even understand. I even told her, she was my professor. I couldn't just push her away. My girlfriend said, "I knew you were going to use that excuse, which is why I didn't tell you about this before. I was trying to fix this insecurity of mine alone. I'm just emotionally drained at this point." Consider this a rant, a request for advice, or whatever you want. I've put everything out there. What do you think?